Elizabeth Báthory, the Blood Countess. Her name whispers of horror, of madness, and of unimaginable cruelty. She was a woman of noble birth, a countess, yet she became a monster, a terrifying figure in Hungarian history. Born in 1560, Báthory entered a world of privilege, a world of darkness too. Eastern Europe in the 16th century was a brutal place. War and disease were common. Death was a constant companion. But Báthory's life was one of luxury. She lived in castles. She had servants, wealth, and power. Yet something twisted within her. Something turned her heart to ice. Her story is a chilling reminder. Evil can lurk beneath a beautiful face, and even the most powerful can fall prey to darkness. Elizabeth Báthory was born into a prestigious family. The Báthory family was one of the most powerful in Hungary. They held vast estates and commanded armies. Elizabeth's childhood was one of privilege and indulgence. She was educated in Latin, German, and Greek. She learned the art of courtly manners. Elizabeth seemed destined for a life of grandeur. She was a beautiful and intelligent young woman, sought after by many suitors. At the age of 15, Elizabeth married Ferenc Nadasdy. He was a powerful warlord, known for his ruthlessness in battle. Theirs was a union of ambition, a strategic alliance to increase the power of both families. Elizabeth moved into Countess Castle, her husband's ancestral home. It was a formidable fortress, standing high on a hilltop overlooking the village below. This castle, a symbol of power, would become her prison, and the stage for her gruesome deeds. The early years of Elizabeth's marriage were unremarkable. She managed the estate while her husband was away at war. She gave birth to several children. But beneath the surface, darkness was brewing. Rumors began to circulate. Whispers of strange occurrences at Countess Castle. Servants disappeared, their fates unknown. Peasants spoke of screams echoing from the castle at night. Elizabeth, it was said, had developed a cruel streak. She enjoyed inflicting pain on her servants, young peasant girls especially. They were easy targets, powerless to resist. The rumors claimed she beat them, cut them, burned them, all for her amusement. Her cruelty knew no bounds. The villagers lived in fear of the Countess and her dark desires. As Elizabeth grew older, her cruelty escalated. Her obsession with beauty became all-consuming. She feared the passage of time, the loss of her youthful looks. A terrible rumor spread, a story so horrific it seemed impossible. Elizabeth, it was said, had discovered a gruesome secret to eternal youth. She believed that bathing in the blood of virgins would keep her young and beautiful. This marked a terrifying turning point. Elizabeth Báthory, the noblewoman, was gone. In her place stood the Blood Countess, a monster who would stop at nothing to satisfy her vanity. The stories of her cruelty grew even more disturbing. She was said to have devised elaborate methods of torture, all designed to inflict the maximum amount of pain to draw as much blood as possible from her victims. Section 5. A Reign of Terror. For almost a decade, terror reigned at Countess Castle. Young girls went missing with alarming regularity. Their families, powerless to stop the Countess, grieved in silence. Elizabeth, aided by her loyal servants, lured victims to the castle, promising them work, offering them shelter. It was all a ruse, a trap to lure them to their deaths. Inside the castle walls, a nightmare awaited. Elizabeth's torture chamber became a scene of unimaginable horror. She used needles, knives, and whips. She bit her victims, burned them with hot irons. She even invented a device, a hollow iron maiden, studded with spikes on the inside. The blood of her victims, it was said, flowed freely, filling the Countess's bath, staining the castle walls. The stench of death permeated the air. But still, Elizabeth was not satisfied. Her thirst for blood, her obsession with youth, only grew stronger. Section 6. The Iron Maiden's Grip. One of the most enduring and chilling tales surrounding Elizabeth Báthory is that of the Iron Maiden. This horrific device, a macabre symbol of her cruelty, became synonymous with her name. The Iron Maiden was a large, coffin-shaped cabinet, made of iron or wood and lined with sharp spikes. Victims were forced inside, the door was closed, and the spikes pierced their flesh. Whether Elizabeth Báthory actually used this specific device is debatable. No physical evidence of an Iron Maiden at Countess Castle exists. But the story persists, adding to the chilling legend of the Blood Countess. The Iron Maiden serves as a metaphor for the suffocating fear that gripped anyone who crossed Elizabeth's path. Trapped and tortured, her victims faced a gruesome and inescapable end. Section 7. Walls Have Ears. the reign of terror could not last forever. Word of the atrocities at Countess Castle began to spread beyond the local villages. Rumors reached the ears of Hungarian officials. Count Thurzo, a relative of Elizabeth's deceased husband, was tasked with investigating the accusations. He gathered evidence, interviewed witnesses. The stories he heard were too horrific to ignore. Thurzo knew he was dealing with a powerful family, but the evidence was overwhelming. He decided to act. On December 30th, 1610, Thurzo and his men stormed Countess Castle. What they found inside shocked even them. Section 8. The Capture of a Countess. The castle was a scene of unimaginable horror. The stench of death hung heavy in the air. Blood stained the floors and walls. Instruments of torture lay scattered about. Thurzo and his men discovered the bodies of several young women, some dead, others clinging to life, their bodies bearing witness to the horrors they had endured. Elizabeth Báthory was placed under house arrest in Countess Castle. Her accomplices, 4 loyal servants who had aided in her crimes, were arrested and put on trial. They were tortured and eventually executed. Elizabeth herself was never formally tried. Her family's influence protected her from that fate, but she was imprisoned within her own castle, walled up in a few rooms, her only contact with the outside world a small window through which food was passed. Section 9. Truth or Legend. Elizabeth Báthory died in her castle prison 4 years later. Her story, a mix of fact and fiction, became the stuff of legends. But the question remains, how much of it is true? Did Elizabeth Báthory really bathe in the blood of virgins? Or were the stories exaggerated, spread by her enemies to discredit her? It's impossible to say for sure. The trial records are incomplete. Many documents have been lost or destroyed over time. What remains is a jumble of fact, rumor, and speculation. Some historians believe that Elizabeth Báthory was a victim of a conspiracy. A powerful woman in a patriarchal society, she was an easy target for accusations of witchcraft and depravity. Others believe that while the stories may have been embellished, there is no doubt that she was a cruel and sadistic woman. Section 10. The Countess's Shadow. Whatever the truth, Elizabeth Báthory's name has become synonymous with cruelty and madness. She is a figure of fascination and horror. Her story a chilling reminder of the dark side of human nature. The Blood Countess has inspired countless books, films, and works of art. She is a fixture in popular culture. Her legend continues to fascinate and terrify us centuries later. The ruins of Countess Castle still stand today, a haunting reminder of the horrors that once transpired within its walls. Visitors from around the world come to see the place where the Blood Countess is said to have committed her gruesome crimes. Elizabeth Báthory's story is a dark chapter in history, but it is a story that continues to captivate and disturb us. It is a story that forces us to confront the darkness that lurks within us all.